Talking Sex Live with Chet and Diane is recorded in front of a live audience. This show is for mature audiences only. Hello, you are Talking Sex Live with Chet and Diane. I am Chet Hart.
I'm Diane.
And we are streaming live right now to Caffeine, and we are also videotaping, or who fuck videotapes anymore? We're recording right now for YouTube and also podcast, where you can go ahead and listen to this and many other things on any major podcast streaming network. I am Chet Hart.
I'm Diane Hart.
We are unlicensed sex therapists. We're actually a couple who has had a whole lot of sex. And we just want to share our knowledge with the world. And so we don't have any type of actual PhDs or any articles or anything like that, but we just want to go ahead and share our knowledge with everybody from all our experiences that we have had. We are joined with our producer. How are you doing today, Wells?
I've been okay. The quest for love has been pretty quiet recently.
Yeah? Things have died down a little bit?
Things have, there's a lull in the hot back summer at the moment. I'm hoping it comes back soon, but no dates since the last time we talked.
Oh, crazy. I'm sorry to hear that.
I just, I want that special someone, you know, we emotionally and spiritual connect with, and sometimes we do it, and it's not just about the doing it part, although that's part of it. But, yeah, what I'm searching for.
Got it. We also have our sex toy and polygamist, polyamory specialist, Peter, in the house. How are you doing today, Peter?
I'm doing well, thank you. Yeah, there's so many poly words, people get them mixed up all the time.
Yes, is bigamist not a word that people want to hear anymore?
I think there's a lot of words that have a lot of stigma around them, so we try to stay away. Luckily, no one, I don't think people really poisoned polyamory, and when you combine the many and love, it's kind of hard to ruin those. So
yeah, that's a good one.
That one's relatively safe, so we'll stick with that one for now.
Yeah, I got a little bit of news. So I recently had hernia surgery. I had a guinal hernia, which is where your intestines comes out near your in your groinal area. There's actually some very soft spots right around where your penis is at, like right off up to the sides in your groin, where if you put too much stress, or if you stress your muscles, if you over tighten, you can push out your actual intestines through that little spot right there. So what I did, and it's very comical, and I don't suggest anybody else did this, but so for a long time I held in my farts, my flatulence, my gas around Diane. I don't know, it wasn't exactly, I thought it wasn't sexy. I thought
you're right about that.
It wouldn't turn her on, or I would kill the mood. So I didn't want her to see me in that light of this guy who constantly, passes gas. So I would hold them in, and then I would try to get it all out when I was in the bathroom. And one day, this is back in November, I just pressed a little bit too hard, and then, boop, there goes my intestine right through my intestinal, the membrane wall. And it...
Did you feel it when it happened?
Oh, yeah. It was very uncomfortable.
Oh, wow.
And for the first couple days, I felt like kind of somewhat nauseous, and it hurt, and I just had to sit there, and I was like, oh, crap, this is not good. Eventually, I just got used to it. It wasn't so much painful as it was just more uncomfortable, and it wouldn't be super uncomfortable. I could just live normally, but it was more of like whenever I did like push-ups or any lifts or something like that, I could kind of feel it, certain spots. And the more I ate, the more like gas I had, it would actually push out that intestine. So I actually had the inguinal hernia surgery, and it's a outpatient kind of deal where they put you under, and then they put a mesh in right around the spot where the hernia came out, and then you go home, and it's only a few hours. But it basically, I couldn't really walk very well. I couldn't move without it being really, really painful. But 2 weeks in, you can start walking a little bit better. 4 weeks in, you're good to go for lifting and whatnot. But we found sex to be very challenging, actually, but we made it happen. We made it work. A lot of me just laying down and Diane sitting on my face.
That is correct.
I mean, it's actually pretty hot. I mean, Diane has sat on my face before, but I don't know, just when you have some type of limitation there, it's almost like a role-playing thing. I even got Diane a really hot nurse outfit. It wasn't a whole lot there, but it was like we just played along, and it was our sexual fantasy kind of deal. So there's that. As soon as I was able to lay on my side, we could do some side sex.
Side action.
Side action. We could
Took him a while to get done, though.
Yeah, just because the whole area is swollen, and even the bottom of my shaft was swollen. So like,
yeah, his balls.
My balls were like the size
rats.
of almost like a softball. Like my scrotum was just gigantic.
And you were still having sex.
Yeah, he was. He's a trooper.
You didn't want to take a break.
Well, I mean, I have to please Diane.
No, you were pretty horny.
Oh yeah, I mean, come on, it's Chet here. So,
well, I was going to say, in your quest to avoid turning off Diane, you sure ended up with the ultimate level of potential turnoff.
Yes.
However, it sounds as though you made lemonade out of those giant lemons you were.
That's right.
We find a way.
Carrying between your legs.
Balls. I mean, I had just an enormous package. I would put my underwear on, and it was just. It was like I stuffed my pants. It was huge.
Well, if only it was the balls that were the turn on for most women.
Yeah, but I mean, I've never experienced balls like this before.
Yeah, some nice balls.
It was
nice big balls.
I mean, I had to ice my testicles because it hurt so bad. But those went away, thank God.
Just recently.
Yeah, it's like
a few days ago.
It was a few days. Yeah, I think it was like 3 or 4 days ago, and it's fine now. Definitely a lot more sex. There was a point where it was very kind of just. It took me a long time to get done. Reverse cowgirl was the best position we found, and it was actually quite hot and fantastic. It felt really great. If you haven't tried it out, both partners can regulate the amount of the frequency and the pressure and whatnot, and if your partner's had a really hot ass, it's quite pleasurable. So
it's one of my favorites.
Yeah. So I highly recommend to not hold in your farts, and so it's not a big deal for us anymore. It's it can be quite hilarious. It's fun. I mean,
I'm letting mine out right now.
There you go. Thank you, Peter.
There you go, Peter.
So, I mean,
learned.
If you really, truly love your partner, then something like that won't deter them or won't turn them off. Just go ahead and be comfortable, live your life. There's no reason for getting a groinal hernia for trying to please your partner there. So.
Yeah. Not good.
Yeah, so that was my lesson learned right there. But on with the show. Any callers coming in there, Wells?
Yeah, we have Eric Diamond from Pawtucket, Massachusetts. He gets a little overexcited with sex, so he wants tips on how to make it boring.
All right. Well, you are talking sex live with Chet and Diane. I am Chet Hart.
I'm Diane Hart.
And is this Eric?
Yeah, this is Eric.
Hi, Eric.
Hi, Eric.
How are you doing today?
Hi, how are you?
I'm great.
I'm all right.
We're good.
Good.
All right.
Good.
I'm not the kind of guy that would ever have thought I was going to fall into a sex show.
Okay,
But,
that's all right. No
here we
shame
are.
here. We're all friends, and we're all very sex positive here. We're here to help you out with whatever your needs are.
I'm ashamed,
Oh,
but at least I can admit it publicly.
okay. So what's
your question?
yeah? What's something that you're ashamed of? What makes you
yeah.
call in today there?
I was a late bloomer, so I was somebody who didn't really start participating in sexual experiences until like 27.
Oh, okay, that's no big
So,
deal.
So, sex for me is a very exciting experience.
Oh yeah, of course.
Obviously, a lot of people think that. A lot of people believe but for me, it's so exciting.
Mm-hmm.
It's too exciting.
Too exciting.
Exciting.
Right?
You just have a problem holding in your.
It's an overwhelming amount of feelings for me.
Got it.
All right,
Okay.
and it's often a turn off for anyone else that's with me how much I am into it at the time.
Okay, so
So
you're
I'm
saying.
wondering.
Go ahead.
No, but you go ahead.
Oh, I'm just saying that if you are turned on so much that it's a turn off for your partners, is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah. A little bit of that.
So it's not a premature
so I'm wondering
ejaculation issue. It's just that you're too enthusiastic, and that it's your personality that's driving people away.
Yeah, that's part of it. It's just that it's so exciting that I can't. I freak out. I freak out a little bit. And so I'm looking for something that'll maybe take it down a notch for me. Like something to make sex a little more boring, just so that I can handle it.
Right. Well, you could try focusing more on your partner and maybe giving her a back massage or telling her how pretty she looks.
No, that's too sexy.
That's
too sexy.
I need drastic changes and results here, guys. This is not a step down situation.
Okay, so you're trying to calm yourself down so that you don't ejaculate too quickly, or you just don't enjoy it. You're making it too dramatic so that your partners are turned off. So you need to calm yourself down. Is that correct?
You ever get like a birthday present that's just so good that you're like, oh my God, this is incredible.
Yeah, Sega Genesis, 1992.
Yeah, imagine
Nice.
that is your experience, heightened and prolonged, and even more so for the entire time that you're stuffing your lady.
Got it. No, I mean I understand that can be a turnoff.
No, I don't think you do understand. All right, I'm getting a little too excited just even talking about it and thinking about it. All right.
All right, I'm sorry you're embarrassed here.
Just take a moment.
You can. What I do if Diane wants to get done for the third time and I haven't climaxed for the first time, I have to hold myself off. So I'll go ahead and I'll think of other things and just things that aren't sexual at all. I think about baseball. I think about tasks that I have to do the next day, or I think about art projects that I'm working on, producing stuff for the show. And just stuff that, and it's a double-edged sword. You can do this too much, and so that you start to become, it's not really flaccid, but you lose your passion.
And your boner.
And so I wouldn't highly recommend it. I mean, sex is a journey. You should enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
You should
also get off.
You should also get off. I mean, it's not the end goal. It is the goal to ejaculate, but it's about the journey that you get there. It's to enjoy it. Mm-hmm. So if you try to,
I'm trying to enjoy it a little bit less.
Okay.
Is the problem.
So
I don't think you're tracking here for me.
Have you tried masturbating before you have sex with your woman that day?
Yeah.
So you're not as hard?
No, it has not. It really doesn't even have anything to do with if I'm coming or not.
Okay.
All right. It's just oh my God, we're doing this. Holy shit. Oh my God, we're going. It's go time.
Okay, it's more about you're excited.
Like a fucking baseball game.
Got it.
Maybe
Eric, may I ask how often you're having sex? I think that's relevant.
I mean, not often enough, because obviously it doesn't really get all the way when that kind of thing happens.
Right.
Okay, so you're more just excited that you're actually having sex, but it's not so much that you're coming too soon, it's that excitement makes it a turnoff for your partner. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Yeah.
So, when you're saying art projects. It's like, yeah, maybe a change of venue to somewhere more boring would be helpful. Maybe a library.
You could also try focusing on your breath and just your breathing.
Or about meditation. Tantric sex has a lot to do with that. Trying different positions that, I mean, if you believe in chi or just chakras or any of that, just focusing your energy, instead of focusing your energy towards your genitals, focusing it up towards your organs like your heart or your face. But I guess everything that we've given advice for was more towards making people either ejaculate or have pleasure. It's never depleasuring. Peter, it looks like you got...
Chet, may I pitch in here?
Okay, go ahead, Wells.
It seems to me like the problem maybe isn't that he's overexcited, it's the way that he's expressing himself. So maybe instead of saying like, oh my God, this is actually happening, I can't believe we're having sex, maybe just don't say any of those things, and then it won't be a turnoff.
I can't help it, guys. I can't help it. Like, I'm just about to pop a couple Xanax and rip off the vodka bottle so I can mellow out.
Okay, I mean, have you had sex without the Xanax or the vodka? Just completely sober without any type of antidepressants or anti-anxiety pills there?
I'm literally, like, I've tried everything, and I am literally unstoppable from exclaiming how excited I am to be having sex at all.
Eric, do you have a committed partner, or is this just the fact that you're not able to keep one?
No, you think somebody wants to be with somebody like me?
Okay.
When I do that?
All right, so then may I ask, and this may or may not be up.
I can't imagine how terrifying it is for somebody else to experience what I go through.
Well, sure. I mean, there are sexual surrogate therapists you could potentially see who could help in a situation like this. Alternatively, and I know this is sketchy territory for some people, but depending on where you live, legalities may be different than other places, and depends on how much money you have. But the assistance of a professional sex worker, someone whose job it is to put up with your quirks, because that's in a sense that's oftentimes what sex workers are doing, is that they're having sex with someone who may have specific needs or interests that are hard to find in a partner who's willing to deal with, but in exchange for financial compensation, everyone in any field, someone has to put up with difficult customers and so on. And so maybe paying a professional to go through this with you on a regular basis until your excitement kind of comes down from it. You're more used to the experience of, oh, here's a naked woman. She's going to have sex with me. I'm going to get to penetrate her and climax inside of her.
Oh my God.
Is the description really okay? All right.
When you watch porn, do you say?
I think
so good.
I think he's getting off right now.
Yeah, the description worked for him.
Yeah.
Oh my Lord.
There's too much.
That's so awesome.
I was too detailed.
Too
Yes.
detailed.
So this guy just.
You guys just I just can't. Oh my God, that sounds so awesome.
All right.
But it does.
But you saying I should get a whore?
Eric, yeah. So go ahead, Diane. You had something to say there?
I lost my train of thought.
Okay. Well, no, this is a good idea. This is something that we kind of overlook in the whole sex industry. It's just like it's a person just to get your jollies off and just a person to have sex with. But if you actually have sex problems and you need to figure this out, it's a sex worker. It's their job, and so it's more of a sexual.
Therapist.
It's like,
oh my God,
sex. Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Sex. Oh, yes.
I think Wells will give you a number of one of our therapists.
Yes, I will connect you.
All right.
This is how people make babies? Oh my God. Wow.
All right,
getting
Eric.
A taste of Eric here.
Well, I
what
mean,
his partners have to deal with.
Hopefully, you can give us some Grubhub dinner there with that.
Yeah, I know. I'm used to being wined and dined first.
Yeah. Yeah. Are you still there, Eric? Or he's
I fell asleep.
I think he's smoking or sleeping right now. All right, man. Wow. That was amazing. Good for him. So
I don't know how I feel about that.
Yeah, well, I guess we were all auditorially didn't consent. Yeah.
I'm not sure if he even was going through the sexual process there so much as he was just loving the idea of it. I mean, that's what it sounded like to me. He's just
I'm not even
incredibly
sure he was
enthusiastic about
pleasuring
sex.
himself.
No.
No.
I think it was just more of like a mental thing that he was ejaculating from there.
Yeah.
Maybe he should go to the Netherlands, to the red light district. Maybe it would help if they didn't understand what he was saying in English.
Yeah, so they just have sex with them.
They all speak English there.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Not going to help.
Yeah.
True. I mean, maybe he could probably find a prostitute that just speaks Dutch if he asked.
Or, I guess, Thailand.
Would they really help him, though, with that? I mean, I think he needs more of a therapist.
I really think so, yeah. I mean, I was thinking...
Not a hooker, because that's not...
It's, in a sense, it's a lot like aversion therapy. But what I'm thinking is he basically just needs to have sex enough that it becomes normal and mundane, like it is for so many Americans.
It's much like the premature ejaculation.
That's happened to me many times.
Yeah, if you immerse yourself in the whole sexual situation, that's part of the therapy. It's about being around a vagina and trying to slowly penetrate without having to ejaculate first. So it's kind of the reverse, though, where I guess it is kind of the same. He's not ejaculating too soon. He's just being too loud.
If he just shut his mouth, he'd be fine.
Yeah, maybe he should try out some of those
silent meditation,
the masks,
duct tape.
Yeah, or just the BDSM mask, with the zipper on it. And
honestly, maybe that's exactly. I'm sorry he's off now, but maybe that's what he needs is a dominatrix, someone who can actually literally whip him into shape.
Oh, that's perfect.
Maybe that will work for him.
Just say, shut the fuck up, stop talking, or I'm going to slap you, or I'm going to
put the hood on
you,
him,
or just
I'm
hit
going to
him.
sit on your face to shut you
or
up.
the ball gag, pop that in there.
Perfect.
He can't say a word.
Yeah, absolutely. Then they're not going to be turned on. And so, Eric, if you're still listening out there, there are women out there who will prefer that you do this, and you'll be able to find some love that you just might have to have a ball gag in your mouth. So... yeah, well, thanks for all the advice, everybody. That was good. Do we have anybody else calling in there, Wells?
We do. We have Klaus. He's hoping that his partner can be more open-minded to explore.
All right, let's hear what he has to say.
All right, guten Tag, Klaus. This is Chet and Diane. We are talking sex live.
I'm Diane.
And I am Chet. Is this Klaus?
Hello?
Yes. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Oh, yes, we can hear you very much. Are you calling from Germany there, or Dusseldorf, or Dresden, Berlin?
Actually, I'm calling from International Space Station.
Oh, wow. Oh. Okay.
That's a long distance call.
That is
very long distance.
This is a first right here. I'm really excited to talk to somebody in space right now. That's pretty amazing. So,
so what's your question?
It's
what's
amazing
going
how
on
little
there?
delay there is.
Are you part of? Go ahead.
Let him talk.
So I know that you are experts in the sexual advice relationships, and I want to see if I could liven up a sexual relationship with my partner here on the International Space Station. Now, other day we had a shoehorn, and we did some fun things with that.
A shoehorn?
Yeah, a shoehorn.
Okay.
She was like, please put the shoehorn here. Please put the shoehorn there. And so I was like, okay. And for some reason, even though it was different, it was turning me on.
And you need our help for spicing it up more than what you're doing?
Yeah, I mean, having
Sound
sex
like you're
with
having a good
shoehorn
time.
on a space station. I can't beat that. Diane and I cannot beat that situation
like
right there. That's pretty amazing. So you need some more spice?
Doing a good job.
You see, he always be talking about his lover back on the planet.
Oh, it's a man? Oh. It's a man and not a female?
Well, it's not necessarily a man and not necessarily a woman and not necessarily a human, actually.
So a binary, somebody who doesn't
necessarily
identify.
humans, so I think
A
there's more information
non-binary
here.
robot.
So it was a robot on the space station.
They come from a land far, far away.
Okay.
Okay.
So now we're talking about an alien on the space station.
They probably have more advice than what we could.
Oh yeah.
Could offer.
So
But you. Sorry.
That's all right. Go ahead, Klaus.
Yeah, go ahead. We'll do our best.
I was just going to say, I know that you are the best that there is, and I just thank you for answering my call.
Oh, no problem. We just want to get the help that you seek right here. So, I mean.
You suggest I use a big shoehorn next time.
If that's what you both want, then that's what you can do.
So Klaus, it really comes down to what your partner wants, what turns them on. If your partner
is into shoehorns, then go for it.
Yeah, exactly.
But if they're not, then also pay attention to what they are.
Also, I'm going to point out, as the resident sex toy expert in this group, generally speaking, sex toys are built for the specific anatomy of the person using them. There's a variety of different sizes, shapes, angles, thrusts, movements, etc., that people have to go through to figure out what's well suited to them. But if you are, in fact, having sex with what you have implied, which would be a non-human, perhaps a non-Earth being entirely, their anatomy is outside of our comprehension. So I couldn't even begin to recommend specific toys. And that's where you're really going to have to work on those communication skills. Does this being that you're having a relationship with speak English?
A few words here there. I don't know if they speak an audible language. It's a lot of hand gestures, and I'm not sure if they speak telepathically or not. But I feel like half the time they're reading my mind. Sorry.
Oh, wow. Okay.
But you feel confident that you've been able to get consent for the activities that you're having with this being, because that's concerning.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
We've been doing it off and on for, I don't know. I've been up here in the International Space Station for about 80 months, and I would say that...
Is it 80 months? 80 months?
Yeah.
80?
Yeah, I'm calling from the future. It is the year 2310, folks.
Wow.
And I must say, the International Space Station, it's not the same way it used to be.
I can imagine it not being like that in the year 2300. Well, Klaus, I feel like you have some bigger problems here that you should really start to think about. I'm not denying that you are from the year 2310 and you're calling from the International Space Station and you're having sex with non-human, but I want you to take a step back and take a look around you and then ask what you really want. Is there something that you want right now that you need help with? Is there something that you want to ask us that maybe we could help you out with that?
Right now, I'm drawing a blank.
You're drawing a blank? That's all right. No worries. All right.
Yeah.
So you want to make sure that you and your partner are getting the best experience possible. I guess we're missing a lot of context here because I certainly was assuming that this was a more unusual circumstance than perhaps it is for you in the year 23, whatever it was. So is this common for humans and whatever alien species this is to be having sexual relationships?
I still a learning. I don't entirely know. I guess I'm also as much as I am desiring for my partner to be more exploratory. I myself, I'm trying to learn to be more exploratory too.
Okay.
So I guess if I had a fine point question for Mr. Chet and Diane, it would be what is something that could perhaps maybe relieve some of that stressful tension of trying to relax more I'm trying to just be open-minded, I guess, before going into an intimate session.
Got it. Diane's really good with relaxing before sex. What do you like to do?
I like to focus on my breath and just do deep breathing.
Mm-hmm.
If I feel stressed out.
Meditation.
Meditation.
Yeah. So
sometimes I'll read a book.
I don't know if you can do that on the space station. Some people like to watch porn or watch something erotic just to turn you on.
I would have recommended incense, but that sounds very dangerous in your situation.
Yeah, I don't think having incense on the space station would be a good idea. I don't even know the environment there. I know it's a lot of floating around.
Listen to some classical music.
There you go. Just doing some yoga, just stretching. Stretching's always good. Especially before sex, you can stretch your muscles out.
Very important.
Yoga really does kind of just make your blood flow and just relaxes you and stretches you out and uses your muscles all at the same time.
Many times we've done sexual yoga together.
Yeah, it's great. Very fun. But I don't know how to do yoga in zero gravity.
I don't know.
I mean, maybe prop yourself up and do some downward dog or something like that on the side or something. But I would highly suggest that whoever partner you have, just listen to what he or she or it has to say, or them, and just be in touch. It's okay to have an open conversation while having sex. I know it might be a little. Some people think it can be like a turnoff, just to start to like you're in the moment and you're hot and heavy, and sometimes, especially as a man, if you start saying something that like, oh, is this okay? Are you all right with that? You start to feel like this could be a rejection scenario where I could be rejected, or I could turn my partner off, or I could be turned off. But if you really like this person and you're comfortable with them, then you can have that conversation during your sexual your activity. Yeah, your activity.
Together.
Like Diane and I, it's just like, are you okay with me doing this right now, or like what do you want right now, or which
just
position?
Being on the same page with each other.
Yeah. It's like sometimes you're like, oh, are you uncomfortable with this, or do you want some ass play right now, or do you want me to go back down on you, or do you want to get done before I put it in, something like that. So just having that open conversation, that communication while you're having sex, as long as you're comfortable with this person, it's okay. You don't have to have it be awkward, and you can still make it sexy, and hopefully your partner there will be able to reciprocate, and you'll have a good time.
Thank you, Mr. Chet.
Okay.
I thank you, and I thank you, Mrs. Diane. Thank you.
Well, we hope we answered your question.
Yeah, and good luck in 2310. I have a lot of questions about what's going to happen from now to then, but I will just let you live your life. So Klaus, I hope you have a good night, and please stay sex positive out there, my friend.
Thank you. Have a good night, y'all.
Good night.
Have a good bye. Oh.
Good to say.
Wow. So there's I'm not gonna say he's not from the future, but
who's to say?
I'm sure there's some great. I was trying to pick apart what was actually going on, like if this whole thing was some type of metaphor, if there was some type of psychological issue, that everything was like an analogy. I was trying to figure out what it was, and I couldn't do it. But hopefully we helped him out. I really feel that he needs to go see some type of therapist if he's not from the year 2310 in the International Space Station. I don't know, Wells. What do you think about that?
Well, I mean, his name was German and he sounded Italian.
Yeah, well,
And
it kind of
so-
sounded more Swiss.
Maybe it's a language.
Yeah, maybe.
I mean, in
Difficulty.
fairness, we don't know what accents
What-
are going to be like in 300
It's
years.
true.
300 years.
That is true.
Yeah.
I mean, some people say that colonial America, England actually sounded like how we speak, in that England just transitioned away from how we speak, and they became more how their English dialect is now.
We don't even know that Klaus is a German name at that point.
No.
I mean, there's so many names that we consider American that didn't derive from here in any way, shape, or form. So there's a lot of assumptions we're making, assuming he's being honest about being from the future, which is certainly a large leap. But I
Very
also
big.
find when you're trying to help people, it's best to work within their grounded world that they've set out and agree and escalate from there.
Well, there's a lot of stuff we don't know about. In time travel through phone calls could happen, but that is the first for this show.
I would wonder why he decided to reach out to a show from 300 years in the past for help. I would hope that there are better resources available in the year 2321 or whatever it was that might be more useful, especially if sex with other species is that common then. But
yeah, or
perhaps
maybe,
not. Perhaps they become more prudish in the future.
Maybe Earth is just wasteland. It's just overheated, and all our natural resources are gone, and they just have to live on different space stations and have sex with aliens. I don't know.
So many questions we didn't think to ask.
I know. I wanted to talk about it, but I was just like, well, this guy has a sex question. This is a show about relationship and sexual health. So,
Do we have any other email questions, by the way?
I don't. Well, we have one question. So let's see here. This is from Roger. He is having. He has a question about having sex and getting an injury. He recently hurt himself. This is very worded really weird, but he hurt himself while having sex, and he wants to know if this is common. So, Roger from Polsbo, Washington. So, wants to know if sexual injuries are okay, and I guess he says he's kind of ashamed about it, so he doesn't want to call in. So, yeah, sexual injuries are very common. Well, I mean, I guess it's more about something that you don't want to talk about. It's Peronie's disease is a big one, where if your penis was too bend too much, it could actually break. So, in it. All men, well, not all men, majority of men, it's okay if your penis kind of goes to one side or the other. Rapid hitting against something will sometimes can cause injury, but when it becomes serious is when it becomes more than 45 degrees and it actually performs a knot, where the cartilage builds up there as it heals, and it becomes painful to penetrate a vagina and have sex. So there is a surgery for it, and I don't know if it'll help, because what it happens is they actually cut out a portion of the penis, and your penis becomes smaller. And I don't know if that's something that's an option.
That's for Peronie's disease.
That's for Peronie's disease, not for just. There's a lot of men who have normal, but I'm saying Peronie's disease is more than a 45-degree angle, and there's a knot, and it becomes painful to have sex. So there's options. There's even options to without surgery. So I don't know what those options are. Peter, do you know what those are?
Not specifically, no. This is definitely a place where you'd want to see a urologist. I mean, surgery is one of the most common solutions because generally it is a buildup of scar tissues. So that does have to be surgically removed typically. but also, this was Roger, you said?
Roger from
Roger.
Poulsbo, Washington.
Yeah. I don't think he was too specific about the injury, right? Because there's a lot of...
He didn't want to say he wanted to talk about it. So
there are a lot of types of injuries that are very common in sex. I mean, it's not just that. I mean, at the very minimum, you can easily cut yourself with sexual play, even with masturbation. Oftentimes, people get to, especially at the beginning of a relationship, maybe they have too much sex, and you'll end up with raw skin. You'll end up cut. I mean, there's the classic zipper injuries, but another common one is people will leave their clothing on during sex, maybe push the underwear to the side, push the panties to the side, or go through a flap, and you'll actually end up with friction against the panties during sex, and that will often cause some severe abrasions and
some
things.
rashing.
And it's difficult for men, especially. I assume for women too, but particularly for men, just because of certain types of drives there. But when men do get injured, they would theoretically have to abstain fully from everything, including masturbation, and even erections can cause the wounds to open back up again. So it takes a very long time, much longer than a normal wound, for a penile injury to heal, and that can be quite troublesome. And I'm embarrassing for some. Certainly, it shouldn't have to be, but it just is, and I understand that.
So Diane,
there are medications that can help if there's some scar tissue and some swelling in less severe cases. So sometimes you don't need to have surgery.
Oh, I mean, we're talking a lot about men. What about women? So the vagina can get actually quite sore if it has too much penetration.
That is true.
So...
like if we go at it for a long time.
Yeah,
it's just
Diane has to be like oral only for the next couple days. Don't put anything in there. It gets too... it's too raw.
That's just when we bone like a lot more.
So in Germany, prostitution's legal, and there are actually
creams,
brothels. They have
numbing creams.
Yeah, they have numbing creams for the
women.
Prostitutes in there who put them on their vaginas.
That's very sad.
And it is super sad, but I mean that's their job.
But
and
it's still, come on.
Yeah.
Even if it's their job there.
Yeah, it is super sad. So. That's a whole nother story of the whole sex industry being legal. It's not exactly, it's not legit. I don't know. There's still the sex lords. There's still.
It's similar to a lot of other industries in that a lot of industries exploit their workers, take advantage of them and their physical abilities. I mean, look at coal miners, look at assembly line workers, look at the terrible conditions that people in the meat plants, the chicken plants especially, went through during COVID-19. So it's really any industry where someone's physical abilities are what someone else is relying on to make money. There's a severe conflict there and a lot of room for exploitation. So I do fear that people over-focus on sex work as though it differs from that dramatically, and I realize it often has, but oftentimes that's because there's illegalities to it that add an extra level of stigma to it, and then there's no protections there in place. It's complicated, and I don't want to attempt to oversimplify it. But I mean, people get injured on the job, and that's awful and needs to be.
Well, the whole trafficking thing, like people are forced into that industry without their consent or against their will. And that's a whole nother problem there. But we'll go ahead and continue to talk about that. But first, we're going to go ahead and talk about a brand that we're going to go ahead and promote on this show. It's called Smooth My Balls. Smooth My Balls. Your balls aren't smooth without Smooth My Balls. This is a grooming product that will shave your pubes without cutting your scrotum. You know that you want this, Wells. Smooth My Balls. If you go ahead.
I do. Yeah. I really do. My manscaping products just aren't doing it for me. And I want my balls to be smooth. That makes me feel more like a man when I'm smoother, not only around the balls, but also the chest area. Accentuates the muscles better.
Oh, yeah.
Makes everything look bigger.
Looks great.
I'm a fan.
Yeah,
we love smoother balls here.
Yeah, so
I love smooth balls too.
Yeah, no, this isn't 1970 or 1965 here. Things have changed. People want people hairless, and whether or not you're a male or a female, just pubic hair is not attractive anymore. So if you
it depends on the person. Some people
find it natural.
So let's not say that it's not attractive.
Yeah, I mean, sorry, I apologize.
To some, it's not attractive.
To some, it's. I know Peter really likes pubes, and that's his. That's his kink. That's his thing, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with that.
There's a lot of people who, for some reason, just like a nice chiseled, hairless area. And
nice chiseled. I didn't realize the pubes.
No, I'm talking about like chiseled.
Oh yeah. Oh yes. The
hairless.
Yes.
Or I just like. I mean, even like the V line on the.
V lines are hot.
The V line going down to your penis.
In the nudist community, there's a whole movement called smoothies. The younger nudists have a whole group called smoothies, and that's exactly what they are. They go hairless, and it's perfectly fine. Yeah, I think all types are beautiful. I think there's absolutely some places for pubic hair and some places where some people look fantastic without it. So it's wonderful to have products like this. I personally actually do prefer myself at least well groomed, and so a product like this that helps achieve that without all the nicks. And I mean, talk about potential injury. This is a great segue from that topic, because with classic techniques of using even a safety razor is not that safe in that area. You will typically end up with some nicks and some real pain. So something designed for it is wonderful.
The skin around your scrotum and around the where the scrotum connects to the penis, like that skin is incredibly sensitive and thin, and any type of small metal that goes back and forth there, that'll easily cut it. And so what Smooth My Balls does is it actually, I don't know if it's plastic, but there's something in it that it has a safeguard that when it goes like that, it actually doesn't cut your skin, which is great. Because also there's a chance if you have HPV, if you're shaving your balls with a razor or anywhere around your genitals, you can get genital warts from that. If it becomes infected, if it becomes a pimple, and then the pimple can turn into a genital wart just from the HPV virus, or the human papilloma virus will make that into a genital wart, which has to be froze off, and then the immune system comes in and takes over that and makes it go away. But anyways, highly recommend doing a shaving technique or a waxing that doesn't have. But no, man, I mean, look at that. Your testicles. It's very. I mean, that is like a moon crater. It's hard to get that type of wax. I mean, Diane waxes.
I waxed my vagina the first time last week,
and it was great. And she's like, it's been a week, and she's still
very smooth. But it hurt really bad. Yeah, it was very challenging to do that on my own. I don't know if I recommend that.
To do it on your own? Would you not? Are you going to do it again, Diane?
I don't know.
So for the podcast listeners, it's smoothmyballs.refr.cc/talkinsexlive. You will get a discount for 20%. It's 20% off of all of their products there on smoothmyballs.com. Your balls are not smooth without Smooth My Balls. Guys, do you have anything else to add for today?
No, smooth balls are great.
We talked a lot about sex injuries. We talked about a lot about health with sexual organs and areas, your groin, groinal hernia.
I would say one big piece of advice in that general area, no pun intended, is don't be afraid to talk to your doctor if you have any concerns or issues. You'd be surprised, shocked perhaps, by what your doctor has seen and heard and dealt with, and anything you bring to them is probably mundane to them by now compared to what they deal with on a regular basis. So don't let yourself live in pain or in fear or discomfort or anything with any of the types of sexual injuries or risks of STIs. I mean, those untreated can cause all sorts of additional problems, and most have amazing treatments available for them now as well. So anything that you have that's a concern there, treat it as you should the rest of your body. I mean, I know it's a problem in our culture with people avoiding getting help for all sorts of problems. Even very serious things like heart conditions and whatnot. People are afraid to see a doctor about, but don't be. If you've got insurance, and you can afford it, which I know is its own stumbling block, but just get in there and get the help and get it taken care of. And the peace of mind is amazing. And there's nothing sexier than feeling healthy.
There you
Exactly.
go, Peter.
I mean, it was weird when I had to go show the doctor my penis when this is like, you know what? He's a dude, and it's not a big deal. When I went into surgery for my guinal hernia,
They shaved all his pubes.
Shaved my pubes off greatly. It was amazing. But when I went into the surgery room, all the nurses there came in were all women, and they're like, we're your nurses for this for the surgery. I'm like, all right, all these women are going to be looking at my wiener, and so, but that's that's their job. They've seen hundreds to thousands of wieners. Wells's mom's a nurse. Is that correct?
Yeah, we've talked about that.
Yeah, how many wieners do you think she's seen? Thousands?
It's weird to talk about the number of wieners my mom has seen, but yeah, I would say thousands at this point.
Not because
probably over
sexually.
1,000.
Yeah.
No.
I have a spermatocyst, which is a large cyst on my vas deferens on one of my testicles, and years back I had to get that checked out because I didn't know what it was at the time, and I was afraid of testicular cancer. And again,
it's a big one.
I did get it checked out. It took me a long time because I was definitely very much afraid and embarrassed. And I went in and I saw a doctor and talked about it, and they had me referred in for an ultrasound. And yeah, the two nurse. I mean, there's one nurse holding my testicles and running an ultrasound wand over it. There's another nurse standing there holding my penis out of the way, and I'm there, and they both looked bored, which I guess was maybe perhaps a bit of an ego hit to me, but it was also probably more reassuring than.
Even if you had an amazing penis, they're not going to look excited. To hold it in a medical exam.
It's not one of those pornos where it's like the nurses are going to start sucking.
No, it really disabused me of a lot of expectations I had from years of pornography before that.
Well, I mean, that's their job. Like with any job, like I used to work as a barista in high school, and I fucking hated coffee after that. I was just like, I don't want to see another goddamn coffee grind. Like, and it's just like, I mean, I don't drink coffee anymore, but not because of that. It's just like any type of job, you're just like, you're desensitized. It's like, it's just part of your job, and that's all it is. And that's what these doctors do. It's just like, yeah, it's another dick. And you know what? I've seen 1,000 dicks that are in way worse shape than this. So it's not a big deal. Just go ahead and get yourself checked out. There's no reason to be in pain. There's no reason to have your life end because of some type of very preventable disease or condition, or have you be uncomfortable when having sex. Everybody deserves to be happy. Everybody deserves to have pleasure. And so you need to just go ahead and seek the help that you need to obtain that pleasure. And you know what? Your partner's going to be fine with it if you have somebody who's caring and loving. And if you're not having somebody who's caring and loving, all wounds heal, and you will go ahead and you will find a partner who's okay with that, and eventually it will be a funny story, just like my inguinal hernia that I had because I held in my farts. That's our show, everybody. I hope you guys have a good night. Thank you, Wells. Thank you, Peter. And please stay sex positive out there. Be safe. COVID is coming back with the Delta variant. We thank you very much. Have a good night, guys.
Good night.